Hello and welcome to my series CADvent for 2024. We're going to attempt to design 24 items in Autodesk Fusion throughout the whole of December leading up to Christmas.
My name is Elizabeth Bishop and you can find me on the socials at 3dbish.
Let's get started with designing this, a snowflake cookie cutter. So starting off in the Fusion environment, I'm going to create a sketch on the XY plane. And this here is going to be the start of my snowflake shape. So I'm going to use the sketch tools using line, and I'm just going to create a very basic sort of 1/2 of the flake of a snowflake going up to the middle and back down. Couple of quick tips here. I want to use a constraint because I would like this line to be vertical. I'm then going to add in my dimensions. It's always a really good idea to aim for a fully constrained sketch, and this will be when all of the lines turn to black. So you can use the dimension tool here or press D on the keyboard as the shortcut. Adding in some dimensions, I want this to be 5, and I'd like this line and this line to be collinear. So I'll grab that collinear constraint and pop those there. I'm then going to add in an overall dimension. So I want the full size of my cookie cutter to be 65 millimeters. So I'm going to do 65 divided by 2 for that there. And then just drag down this section here until it looks to be at a good scale. I'm going to add in a dimension for this section to be 6 millimeters. And I want this to be at 45 degrees. And then my final dimension to add in is going to be this one at 16 millimeters. And this one, sorry, 2 more, to be 10 millimeters. And you can see now that everything is fully constrained and it's all turned to black lines. I'm going to finish my sketch and then create an extrude of this section. So create and extrude, grab that profile, and I'm going to enter a distance of 3 millimeters, but it doesn't really matter at this point. And I'm going to add in some fillets, and you'll see why I'm sort of doing this one first before I do any of the others. So I'm going to add a fillet until this is round, so that's 3 millimeters, and add a second fillet to this one here. And I want this one to go round to there. So that's going to be 6 millimeters. And that is creating sort of that smooth section of my snowflake there. The next thing I'm going to do is to create a mirror. So I want to mirror this body to the other side. So I'm going to actually want to use mirror features. So I want to mirror that extrude, selecting these from my timeline. So the extrude and the fillet, and I want to mirror that around the ZY plane there. And there we go, we've got a little bit of a sort of ghost-like shape. I don't like how that fillet's come out, so I'm going to edit that feature there, and I'm going to remove that fillet that I created. I just removing that one. I actually want to add it after I've joined these. I'm going to use a combine tool to merge both bodies into one, and then I'm going to add that fillet to the top section, and that's going to be a fillet of 5 millimeters. And there we go, that looks a lot neater, a bit more what I was aiming for. Next, I'm going to use a pattern tool. So create and then pattern and circular pattern. And I'm going to circular pattern this body around the Z-axis. So selecting that there and then increasing the quantity until it looks snowflake-like. And I'm going to do 6 of those there. Again, I'm going to use that merge and combine tool there, selecting all of the bodies. The operation is join and OK. And there we go, we have a very basic snowflake shape to work from. Next, I want to start creating this into the cookie cutter. So creating an extrude on the top surface, I'm going to use the offset tool to use that outline that I've already created. That is in modify and then offset, or you can use O on the keyboard as the shortcut. I'm going to bring that inwards, and this is where, if you're aiming to 3D print this, you want to use extrusion widths that you have on your 3D printer. So I'm going to 3D print this, so I'm going to use an extrusion width of 3 times my extrusion width. So that is going to be minus 1.2 there. I'm then going to extrude this profile up 5 millimeters. So finish the sketch and then extrude, grab that profile, and I want that to come up 5mm. And you can start to see we're nearly getting that cookie cutter shape that we were aiming for. I'm going to do an extruded cut through the center, and this one I want to go distance to object here. So selecting that object and cutting all the way through. Next up, I'm going to flip it over and create a sketch on that bottom plane. And I'm going to use that offset tool again, selecting the outer profile. And this time I'm going to drag it out until it's just joined up there. And then select a sensible number that I would like. So again, I'd like to use a combination of my extrusion width. So I think that's going to be 0.4 times 6. Yeah, that looks good. 0.4 times 5 might also have worked. Yeah, 0.4 times 5. So that gives me a nice clear number of extrusion widths on my print. So I'm always thinking about designing for 3D printing on these. Finish that sketch, and again, another extrude. And this time I want to grab all of those profiles that I just created on that sketch. So we should end up with 7 of those. And I'm going to extrude upwards by 1mm. So I want that to go upwards by 1mm. And we can see that is starting to look a lot more like a cookie cutter. The final thing that I want to do is to smooth those edges off, which will make it easier to 3D print. So using the fillet tool, I'm going to round all of these internal corners. So grabbing each one with my mouse. I also want to round off all of these corners here. Now this might have been useful to do prior to creating the pattern. So I could have designed one of the spokes of the snowflake and then patterned the whole thing around. And then I would only have needed to select 6 of the edges to do that fillet operation. In this case, I'm going to have to select 36 edges to be able to fillet every single one of them as I want to. And I'm going to do a 1mm fillet on all of those. And you can see that's come up with a really nice curved edge there. I'm going to do the same on the outside. So I'm going to add a fillet on there. And again, maybe I should have done these fillets before I did the offset, and that would have achieved the same result. There's always different ways you can model the same thing in Fusion. It's one of the great things about it. So I'm going to add a 1mm fillet there, and we can see we have that nice cookie cutter shape with nice rounded edges. The final thing I'm going to do is add an appearance to this to make it look a little bit more Christmassy. So the shortcut to get to appearances is A on the keyboard. So I'm going to press A, and this will open up the appearance panel. I think I'd like a nice blue for this snowflake. Just looking through the different ones available, I think I'm going to use aluminium anodized rough. It's not going to be made out of metal, but I think it'll be a nice blue. If you need to, you can download one of the libraries using the download button there, and you can just drag that out onto the shape there. And there we go. We have designed in Fusion one snowflake cookie cutter. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for another day of CADvent.